Happy holidays, everyone. We are back from the season ender, the Arse-Freeze-Apalooza at Sonoma Raceway.
Yeah, hella sweet. Gun High School.
Yeah.
The whole team, Pizza Planet, sponsored by Gun High School. Gun High School is the only high school in the entire country that every student in the shop class has to watch every LeMons recap.
Man, if I had known that we had this whole high school audience, I would have maybe thought more about whether or not our content was appropriate.
We have never done anything inappropriate for high schoolers.
Tell me that Make a nice strong lift into my long and then we cruise right around at 2 girls, 1 curve. Again,
it comes out, and then he starts to build up to this awful Nixonian climax. I am not
Coming to Kinky 1, Kinky 2.
We need a gerbil.
Gefilte fish. That really should be a gefilte fish.
and it's a lap.
Also hella sweet, couple of great penalties. We had the karaoke penalty.
You can burn my clothes up when I'm gone. You can tell your friends just what a fool I've been and laugh and joke about on the phone.
Hella sweet. We had Team Westafari and their Volkswagen
So great.
Vanagon Westphalia, team from the Go Westy line of Vanagon products. What they're gonna do after this LeMons race, they took the van straight to the shop and they're converting it to all-wheel drive so they can run it in a SCORE-sanctioned off-road race in Baja, California. And when they're done with that, they're gonna reconvert it back to LeMons spec and continue racing it in LeMons.
I actually don't know why they wouldn't just have the all-wheel drive Vanagon for LeMons.
I don't see why not.
Totally sweet. So speaking of real racing, trademark. The season championship came down to this race. It was really a 3-way battle going in. It was Eyesore Racing, of course. It was Cerveza, of course. And it was Model T and the Pinto Bean Bandit. Now, we knew that was because those guys, if they can't even fix my Kellison, how in the world are they going to win a championship? Anyway, so Cerveza was actually running extremely strong. They broke a subframe. Clang! Car totally lost an hour trying to get that thing repaired. They did get back on track. They were out of contention. So, Eyesore Racing won the team championship. And the driver championship, there was a little confusion there because Pete Presley of Cerveza, he had calculated that if they could win, he would win by 3 points. And that if they lost, he would lose to Dave Coleman of Eyesore by 1 point. That was his calculation. Now, in fact, they did lose. And by our calculations, Pete won by 3 points still. We're not entirely sure whether that's right, but that's what we got. Congratulations, Pete.
There was actually one permutation in all of that where the 2 drivers could wind up in a tie for the championship.
That's right.
And we realized we don't have a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And so we decided that for 2017 and forward,
Yeah.
if there is a tie, it will be decided by rap battle.
The special award was the Bringing California Real Estate Values Back into Line award. This went to Spank. He rented a garage, and instead of using it for his racing team, built a show house on the inside and conducted real estate tours through there. Now, I did the math, and I know what he paid to rent that garage, and you extrapolate that over the month. He has got California real estate values are now $24,000 per square foot per year. So I don't think he was really bringing the values down, but very nicely done. And we had the Watch a Movie on VHS penalty. Now, we only had 2 movies. We had Home Alone and Old Yeller.
The I Got Screwed award went to our friends Tim Tomas, Sean Rogers,
Yeah.
the bunny with the pancake on its head.
Yeah.
Volkswagen GTI. This car has been running in LeMons
Forever.
In fact, when it first showed up, they got penalty laps because it was too clean.
Yeah,
That
no longer.
That has not been a problem recently, and is really not a problem now.
Yeah.
But the car has been getting faster and faster, and they actually challenged for an overall race win at Thunderhill at one point.
Yep.
And we thought one of these days, these guys, everything's going to line up, they're going to win. Instead, they crashed in a big way, and the car is totaled, and it will not return. They got screwed. Heroic fix for this race went to the MASH-themed Porsche 928, and it's actually, I didn't realize this, it has got a Ford small block V8 in it, so it actually fits into the pantheon of a LeMons-specific type of vehicle known as the forge. And of course, one of the components of their Porsche to forge drivetrain adaptation system decided to exit the vehicle in an unplanned way out on the track. And so they came back in, they said, well, you can't just go into Napa and get parts for a forge. So they actually needed the part that had gone and flown off on track somewhere. And
it was an axle. It was Porsche on the inside, Ford on the outside, butted up together and welded. I mean, how's that going to fail?
It was like milk dud technology for the track.
Yeah, it's flawless.
And so by the time the track was clear of any race cars and sweeping equipment and so on and so forth, it was pitch dark.
Pitch black.
But they needed that part that was out there somewhere. And so they went on their hands and knees through the grass
in the dirt.
to find like, oh, I found part of it. And I found other part. And I pointed out to them that, okay, I realize you need this custom part for your forge, but it came flying out of the car at high speeds. Like, you're not just going to be able to, oh, I found it, I put it back in, and now everything is great. And sure enough, that was the case. They realized, like, oh, this thing is foobarred. How are we going to? And so they wound up, well, it's our only option. We're just going to have to solder it here, tape, glue, weld. And they got it all back together, and incredibly, it worked.
The organizer's choice went to the trophy truck. Now, this is a Mazda B2200, I think. It's been a camper. It's been all kinds of horrible things. It is really a truly terrible car.
Yeah.
And if you had seen pictures of this before it was a trophy truck, you would not say,
that is not a $500
car. But in fact, a lot of people didn't know it was the same car. Chris Overzet of Pit Crew Revenge did a brilliant trophy truck cosmetic job on it with welded fenders made out of plate and with crap on the back and with trophies on the top. It was really convincing with the big meaty tires. What were they?
Well, I asked Chris, hey, Chris, what are those? BFG all-terrains? He says, no, man, they're General Grabbers. They were on sale.
So this thing looked super convincing, and of course, immediately the internet.
A trophy truck. Outrageous.
I mean, I think he finished like 98th or something like that, but it looked so super awesome. Organizer choice.
To be fair, I think that there's a difference between a real Baja trophy truck and a Mazda with trophies bolted to the roof.
Well, it's hard to tell that from your little telephone screen.
So, if you have been following this channel, which applies to nobody.
Yeah.
But throughout the season, the Rambler has been traversing the country, driving from race to race, and being generally an example of what happens when you have 3,700 idiots working on the same car over the course of a season.
Infinite number of Lemons mechanics working on an infinite number of Rambler problems and an infinite number of racetracks.
They didn't.
Oddly, they never come up with a working race car.
They did not create racetrack Shakespeare, let's just say. So, this is actually the second time that this program has manifested itself. The first time was, of course, the
famous K car.
The K It Forward program, which is the still, I think, champion of the worst Lemons car of all time. Now, there's one key difference between the K car and the Rambler, which is that the K car, 3/4 of the way through the season in which it raced, it did really well at Road America and won the IOE. The Rambler, to this point, hasn't won jack.
Well, here's the irony about that, actually. The K car was just terrible in every way. Nobody tried to make it great. The Rambler actually got some really good racing stuff on it. Yeah. It's got kind of a trick suspension now. It's got kind of a trick motor. Yeah. So the moral, once again, is the more tricky you actually make the car, the less well that it performs.
Yeah. Leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone.
That's it. So we realized that this is the final race of the season, and the Rambler hasn't won a single trophy the entire time. Yeah. And we figured, well, God, the K car won the IOE. Maybe at the last race of the season, the Rambler win IOE. Let's take a look at the standings. Nope. So instead, Judge Phil said, you know what? Let's give it Judge's choice.
And that is what he got. So speaking of the IOE, that's where we go next. Oh. Now, there's been this rash lately, and I love it, of these horrible 50s bone stock cars coming to Lemons, and this was the latest and perhaps most horrible. Yeah. Now, we had the fabulous Hudson Hornet. Yeah. We had the Chrysler Saratoga. Yeah. We've had, what was the 48 Plymouth?
Yep, and Ginger Man 48 Plymouth.
Had some fantastic stuff. This was a 1952 Willys Aero-Lark.
Yeah.
Which is good enough, and it still had, the original motor in it, and it was smoking, and Flathead 6, and it was pretty much a stock car. That was all good enough, but what I really liked was the graphics on the side that instead of saying Fabulous Hudson Hornet, said Adequate Willys Aero-Lark. So good. IOE. So, if you have a lot of time on your hands, if you're incarcerated, if you have a job that you absolutely hate, don't mind getting fired for watching crappy videos, subscribe to this channel.
That's it. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
I know, Mama. He was my dog. I'll do it.